Everything we've looked at has presented itself as an opportunity, which you could interpret as saying there is room for improvement everywhere we look. There's room for improvement at Manchester United, and we will improve everything, because we want to be, at the top of that. We want to be competing for the Premiership every year and competing for the Champions League every year. That's where we need to be. We need to be where Real Madrid is today, but we're not there at the moment, and it will take time. You can't. It's not a light switch. You can't, flick a switch and it's all going to be.
Is there a club?
Tomorrow.
Is there a club or a company that is the template of what you want it to look like?
I think Real Madrid have done a fabulous job, really, to be honest. There's an interesting statistic which compares Real Madrid with Manchester United. If you look at the 10 or 11 seasons since Alex Ferguson and David Gill was the CEO. They retired they left at the same time. During that period of time, Manchester United's net spend on players, so that's players they bought less the income from players that they sold, is £1.1 billion. So United have not been mean with the chequebook. They've actually spent an awful lot of money. Real Madrid over that same period of time is only £200 million, which is surprising when you hear that, because today they have a squad where 6 or 7 players are valued over €100 million, and Manchester United doesn't have any players that are valued at €100 million or more. And Real Madrid have built probably the finest football ground in the world, using the same chequebook, because for the 900 million that they've improved over United, they've managed to build the new Bernabeu. So if you compare and contrast that to those two sets of statistics, you can see that the quality of management at Real Madrid has been better than the quality of management at Manchester United, and the consequence is you finish it with a great squad and a great ground.
But so would you be ready to spend that amount of money for an Mbappe-like player for Man United?
Well, you have to look at the balance sheet to start with, and I don't think the solution is to buy an Mbappe. We're more grassroots than just one player isn't to solve the problem at Manchester United, really. I think the first thing you need to do is, you need to build a balanced squad, and we need to make progress with the squad. And ultimately, maybe you top it off with a player or 1 or 2 players like Mbappe, but it's not the solution today.
How much would you want for the next season? How much are you ready to spend?
Well, in the modern world, of course, it's more difficult to answer that question because of all the host of regulations that tell us how much we can and cannot spend. We have FFP to deal with, so we've got more accountants than we've got sporting people at Manchester United trying to run all the models, of course. But so it is a function of what you're spending, what your balance sheet and what your spending looks like, and what your salary bill is for existing players and what your amortisation bill is for existing players, that decides how much you can spend for the next season. So Manchester United has spent quite a lot of money in the last 2 seasons. I think they've spent about 400 million, and they've got a fairly high wage bill and they've got fairly high amortisation costs. So that limits the amount we can spend according to the FFP regs. So it will be a combination of sales and purchases, and of course there's always this variable about what your income's going to be. So you're sort of always trying to estimate what your income will be to decide what you can spend on players, because you have to make assumptions. Are you going to be in the Champions League? Are you going to be in the Europa Cup, etc.? Because that affects your income and your ability to be able to hit your FFP target. So it's a complicated set of rules.
What do you make of the FFP rules?
They're too complicated, really. And I think, and there are 2 sets of FFP rules. I mean, it's got a slightly different name in the Premiership, but the UEFA has a set, and the Premier League has a set, and they're different. And they're different levels, and they're different rules. So it becomes quite complicated to manage the books, really, when you're having to try and fit into those sets of rules, and you're trying to make projections about the future. So, we, as you know, won the FA Cup, so we're in the Europa. So our income has gone up because we're in the Europa. But if we'd not been in the Europa, so it all affects your FFP,
But where you are right now, I mean, you've gone through basically the numbers. You have accountants looking through it. Are there players that you want? Or are there?
Yeah. No, I mean, we're in the middle of that transfer period, so yeah, we're doing what every other club is doing, which is looking at,
Do you think you'll get
which are the holes in our squad and where we want to plug the holes, and then what are the possibilities out there in the marketplace?
You're confident that you'll get the positions you need?
I'm not confident that we'll solve all the problems in the first transfer window, no. It will take time. And also bear in mind from what I was just saying, Omar, Dan, Jason, who are the sort of key pillars of the sports side, they're not all in place. We've only got Jason in place. So, we're sort of a bit handicapped in that sense. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll do a fairly good job, but it's not going to answer all the problems this first season. Mm-hmm. It will take 2 or 3 summer windows to get to a better place.